Good evening, live and in the flesh. I have to say, if it were appropriate to cuss at EDCO, I'd be joy cussing so hard right now. You know what joy cussing is? Like something awesome happens, you're just like, F! I'd be like, S-H-I-T! Woo! On a scale of 1 to 10, how obvious is it that I've been missing being in person? Pretty obvious, right? Yeah. Here we are, 10 out of 10 in the back. We are live and in person. We have 75 people across 3 rooms. Biggest event of the year. Right? I mean, that's pretty huge. Thank you all for making a strong choice and coming out and being here with us in public. I am Shannon Kelly, and I'm honored to be here. I love EDCO as an organization, but I really love EDCO as a team. So every single time I get to be here with you, whether it's live or on the air, I'm absolutely thrilled. So as a reminder, you have to use your masks if you're not eating or drinking. You need to wash your hands like a maniac. Do not feed each other tots. Do not share beers. Keep it tight. And for those of you joining us from home, you have several hundred people tuned in on live stream. Thank you all for taking care of yourselves and staying home. We honor your choice and we miss you, and we're having a really great time. So also, if you're like person number 76 and that's why you're at home, maybe next month, okay? You need to act a little faster next time. All right, my friends, we have an awesome night for you tonight. We have back-to-back presenters. And I want to start by saying thank you to our sponsors. So first up is Osu Cascades, who has some news to share. They are our MC sponsor, so I'm extra grateful to Osu Cascades. But minority-owned businesses have had difficulty getting funding in recent months. To help increase the success of these underserved entrepreneurs in Central Oregon, the Osu Cascades Innovation Lab has launched the Blue Fund program. So with support from Facebook and EDCO, the program will provide participants with coaching, business plan development tools, and access to financial resources, including loans, investment capital, and grants. For more information, you can contact Adam Kridnicki, or you can go to osucascades.edu/co-lab. We're able to host Pub Talk tonight with drinks in hands, thanks to our generous event sponsors, and I'd like to introduce each of tonight's Pub Talk title sponsors one at a time. So we're gonna start with my friend Kurt Barker, live in the flesh, Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson. Get on up here, Kurt.
Wow. Hey, great to see everybody. All right, so we're all dealing with new stuff that makes us a little nervous, new stuff to worry about that we haven't always had to worry about in the past. So, as a lawyer, that means, well, just excuse me for a second. Hey, Matt Hand in the back behind the camera. Do I have a cat filter on right now? No kitty, Kurt, please. Please, if you haven't seen that video, it's really worth a look. I'm proud to report, I think of our 17 business trial and trust and estate attorneys at Carnot Peterson. None of us have appeared as a cat in court to date, so really proud of that. Now, I'll just share a quick story and get out. I just recently was doing the avalanche training with Three Sisters Backcountry, the Area 1 Awareness and Avoidance course. Great stuff if you're a backcountry traveler. One of the things they talked about, one of the surprise components of the course for me was group decision making and how it can go wrong and how to make better decisions working with the team. It rung a bell with me when they talked about the back to the barn phenomenon. Anybody heard of this? That feeling of, I am so tired of this, I'm done. I am so tired of this. In skiing, I think it looks like this. I'm cold and tired, we've just got this one more slope to hit. I'm tired of measuring slope angles, I'm tired of worrying, let's just hit it and get back to the car. Here in COVID-19 pandemic, I don't mean to be preachy, but we're all burned out. We're all at the end of that rope. But I think let's stick to the rules we've got. Continue to enjoy these safe gatherings. Excuse me, safe gatherings. I feel a great sense of distance from y'all. But because we are, I defend employers. We are still seeing a huge rise in even wrongful death cases, retaliation against employees who complain about safety, things like that. So don't let your guard down. We'll get through it. We're almost there. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, Kurt. Thank you, my friend. This is my favorite part. Yes, I haven't dusted my house in so long. I just feel like maybe we could work something out. I trust you. All right, next up is Julianne Horner, account executive here in Central Oregon with Providence Health Plan.
Hi, everybody. It's Julianne from Providence. I'm sorry to say I'm not going to be able to be there in person, but I'm excited to also say that we are in person. We're in this new hybrid model. Way to go, EDCO. You are shifting at all times to be able to maneuver through this COVID. I want to take a quick moment to thank our businesses in Central Oregon and the community as a whole. The uniqueness and the creativity that has come out during this time is unprecedented. We hear that word a lot, but I do believe it really does describe Central Oregon quite well. From the businesses that have had to pivot to be able to serve the community in very new territory, to the community who reaches out and embraces that, to even those businesses who have had to change their overall model, those are really amazing moments. I will say that those distilleries who are making the hand sanitizer, kudos, very cool. Providence is excited to be able to be a part of the community, to be able to continue to serve, and be able to be a part of what's going on in the EDCO world. So with that, good luck to all of you on stage, and I look forward to hopefully seeing everyone in person this time next month. Bye, everybody.
Always nice to hear from you, Julianne. All right, next up we have Corey Allen, SVP and Commercial Banking Team Leader at Columbia Bank, live in the flesh. Corey, get out of town.
Thank you all, appreciate that. I was just telling Roger, these things have never really quite been the same since COVID, but we're doing everything we can and making the best of it. But yeah, my name's Corey Allen. I'm the commercial banking team leader for Columbia Bank. So we focus on lending money to businesses, basically, in the most simplistic form I can say it. I don't know if you've heard this little thing called PPP. It's kind of taken up all bankers' entire world the last couple years. Highly encourage you, though, if you're a business owner or work in the financing sector, if you haven't looked into this, it's a program out there. It's great. Round 2 is actually going on right now, and actually you can still reapply for round 1. It's open up until March 31st. It's a really great program as far as helping business owners, as far as with the payroll, covering bills. If you get the money forgiven, it's completely grant-free. I mean, so there's no obligation to it. There's lots of things that are changing with it. Actually, they just announced for this 2-week period, they're only accepting applications for businesses with 20 employees or less. So the whole idea is really to get this money out there to companies that are really struggling to help make their payroll, the restaurant industry, things like that. Round 1 was open to everyone. That money went extremely fast and ran out right away. Round 2, there's a little more limited as far as who can apply, based on 25% sales reduction, some of the requirements like that. So it's been lasting a lot longer. We still have funds available. I highly encourage you, talk to your local banker, whoever you work with. If you have some direct questions about it, I'm happy to answer anything. But just highly encourage you to look at that money and help get those resources that are available for you. So anyway, enjoy tonight. I know it's not quite the same, but I'm looking forward to getting things back to some normal level here soon. And it's great to be here in person. So enjoy, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Corey. I was just creeping over Corey's shoulder. That was nice. PPP, a loan that if you use it for what you say you'll use it for, they forgive it. It'd be so cool if car loans worked that way. When it's like, I definitely bought a car with that loan. Can you turn it into a grant? This is like, I might be onto something. All right, next up, Jordan Smith, President and CEO of Velox Systems.
Hey everybody, Jordan Smith here with Velox Systems. Thanks for coming to PubTalk, our first in-person here in McMenamins in a while. Sorry I can't be there with you, but I know EDCO's got a great presentation tonight, and I'm super stoked to see it virtually. Again, Velox Systems, we're an IT service provider here in Central Oregon. We take care of all of the IT needs, help companies that are struggling with performance and production, and we can take those business needs and find a technology to help solve them and work with our customers to do that. So if you have anything that you'd like to talk or chat about, grab me, email me, find another Velox person that's here and pull them aside and tell them all of your woes. And we'll try and hopefully help the ones that can be solved technically. If it's another woe, we're happy to listen, but honestly, Shannon may be a better person to talk to about that than us. Anyway, have a great night, guys, and we'll see you next time.
It's so true. I can handle anything except something that plugs in. So If it needs a battery, don't look at me. Good to see you always, Jordan. And that beach looked a little rough. It looked a little desolate. All right, up next, live in the flesh as well, our very own EDCO CEO, Roger Lee, for a Director's Minute. Get on up here, Roger. You're welcome.
So it's a packed house tonight, or at least as packed as we can have it. So thanks everybody for making PubTalk part of your week in the flesh, and for all those online for joining us as well. I think that's maybe a record crew as far as attending virtually. So I know Aaron Riley's going to have a heart attack because I don't have a script. No written paper to write off of. So I'm going to keep it short and just talk a little bit about the Milken Institute. Anybody have heard of that study? It's actually a foundation down in the LA area that produces an annual report called the Best Performing Cities, and the subtitle to that is Where American Jobs Are Being Created and Sustained. And that's changed this year, actually. I think it's the 22nd year they've done this, but Ben holds the enviable title is that there's never been a four-peat at number one. And for the past 4 years, not including this one, we were number one in the nation for small cities. So pretty cool. In 2021, we became number 13. So we're number 13. We're number 13. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it, I know. But we're still in the top tier. That represents about 205 small metros across the U.S. And they've actually changed the title. It's no longer Where Jobs Are Being Created and Sustained. It has a different thing about recovery and so forth, I think, in the era of COVID. But still in that top tier, and they've added a couple of criteria which contributed to that little bit lower ranking. And one of those was housing affordability. So there were two factors in there. And there was also connectivity for broadband, but we were number 3 there. We were in the 179 range as far as the housing affordability to our peers. So that's a little bit, I think that's going to work against us in the future for that particular study or index. That said, it was also a ranking where we went from number 10 to I think number 158, which I think is a problem with the data. So if you get in there and look up best performing cities in the U.S. or best performing metros, you can take a look at that if you're going to geek out like I do when it comes to these statistics. I don't know how you go in 1 year on GDP for tech from number 10 to number 58 unless you have a major closure. And we didn't have any of those. So I think it might be a problem with the data, which I'm going to talk to those guys, and I think they're going to raise our ranking. But for those who are wondering about this and had checked it out or had heard about it before, just a quick update on Milken Institute, best performing cities. So thanks again for joining us tonight. Shannon, back to you.
No script, Roger? Can we confirm Aaron Riley did not have a heart attack? Because that was very well done, Roger. And I'm of the mindset that when things are bleak, that also means there's lots of opportunity, right? In fact, I heard a rumor that there could have been a housing bond. That's a thing that can happen. So lots of opportunity. Don't give up on us. For virtual attendees, on the right of your screen is a chat bar. So you'll type your questions into the chat bar. They'll find their way to me, and you can participate just as if you were here with us in the present moment, or I guess in the actual room. For those of you in the house, you'll just raise your hand and we'll call on you. So when you get to Q&A sections for our company updates and our keynote, that's how you'll participate. So on to tonight's early stage companies, provided by supporting sponsor COCC, Central Oregon Community College, that offers 32 different career and technical education programs to help students jumpstart their learning and earning potential in one of our region's many essential industries, from aviation to forest resources, computer information systems to advanced manufacturing. COCC's career and technical education certificates and degrees prepare Oregonians to return to work as our economy recovers from COVID-19 and wildfire devastation. To learn more, contact COCC's Dean of Instruction, Julie Downing, or visit cocc.edu. And Ben Broadband, of course, where would we be without Ben Broadband, who continues to support our business community, working together to rebuild and come back even stronger. So we have a virtual pitch for you. This is TriAgenics. They have developed a 1-minute dental procedure that prevents wisdom teeth from ever forming, eliminating the most common surgery amongst young adults between the ages of 15 and 25. This technology will allow for general and pediatric dentists to safely and effectively deliver improved lifelong outcomes with none of the typical complications seen from the conventional extraction used today. Dr. Colby has founded and guided multiple successful entities over the course of his career. TriAgenics is his 5th startup, with the other 4 still operating today. Founder and CEO Lee Colby is joining us virtually to tell us more about what their Redmond-based company has created. Take it away, Lee.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to present tonight. As you just heard, we developed a 20 to 40 second microsurgical procedure to prevent wisdom teeth from ever forming. I'm willing to bet that most of you, probably over 2/3 of you, have had your wisdom teeth already removed. And it really is the most common surgical procedure performed on young adults, age 15 to 25. Nearly 5 million people have over 10 million wisdom teeth removed every year in the US alone. The reason these teeth are removed is because they're nothing but trouble. Over 85% of these teeth just simply don't erupt. And because of that, they get infected. They have the highest rate of decay of any tooth. They have the highest rate of bone loss and gum infection around them. They're really a very serious problem. They're so problematic that over our lifetime, 95% of us will have at least one removed, and 85% of us will have all of them removed. And the cost is staggering. You're looking at $3 billion a year in the US alone just for extraction fees. This is a really huge cost to consumers. But the hidden cost, it is the cost of complications, the cost of lost time. The average time missed for work is 4.5 days. How do you put a value on that? Much higher than the extraction fees. So our solution is, we call it 03 TBA. TBA stands for tooth bud ablation. Ablation is a fancy word for killing a tissue tumor. We have adopted a type of tumor ablation technology just for this procedure. It's intended for children aged 6 to 12. And what's amazing is that it's faster and easier to perform than placing a one-surface filling on a 9-year-old kid, which is the average age that we expect to be doing this on. And I know that because I saw a lot of kids in my practice, and I've done nearly 200 of these procedures on live animals. It really is simpler than a one-surface filling. Our challenge is to make it safe, effective, and so simple that general dentists can do this procedure in their operatory. You can see on our logo, that's what our company is all about, making this procedure safe, effective, and simple. We accomplished this through an amazing high precision technology that simply didn't exist. We developed it pre-incorporation, and what we do is we gently warm the tooth bud from the center of the tooth bud outwards, and it prevents the wisdom tooth from ever developing a tooth. So let's take a quick look at a slide so that you can visualize how this works. You can pull up the slide. Okay, so what you can see in the bottom left-hand corner is there's a tooth bud. I'm moving my cursor around thinking that will show up on your screen, but it won't. You can see that oval circle that's in the center of the square. That's the tooth bud, and it's just behind the last molar. And what our goal is to insert a probe and deliver just the correct amount of energy that will disrupt that tissue. You can see on the slide that we have an ideal ablation. That is, we kill the tissue inside the tooth bud, and that's in the bottom right-hand corner. In the upper left-hand corner, we don't want to under-ablate it because then a little bit of the tooth will form, not completely. We don't want to over-ablate it. What will happen there is we kill more tissue than we need to, and you can possibly even burn the patient. And our technology is so precise that we can control this diameter, the zone of ablation, if you will, plus or minus a half millimeter. That's plus or minus 5 or 6 thousandths of an inch. It really is extraordinary. It doesn't exist anywhere else in the medical industry. So if we can jump back to remove the slide. Okay. So once we introduce this, we expect this is going to be extremely disruptive within the dental industry. Having third molars removed is so difficult, and so many lawsuits arise from it that general dentists refer over 80% of all third molar extraction, wisdom teeth extraction, out to expensive oral surgery specialists. I'll bet most of you, if not all of you, had your wisdom teeth removed by an oral surgeon, not your general dentist. There's a reason for doing that. There are huge risks associated with this surgery. And then the complications are terrible. Facial paralysis, over 10% of patients have infections that require post-op treatment. There's lifelong bony defects. It's a very difficult invasive procedure. But based on our animal trials, all these risks and complications are eliminated. We have had no complications that a conventional surgical extraction would entail. And because of that, the quality of care is expected to improve. There's no residual defects. The market opportunity for this is staggering. We see that our sales potential for this could be as high as $5 billion a year in the US alone. If we realize a 4% market penetration of 9-year-olds every year, that translates into our direct sales of over 200 million. And we think when we promote this as the new standard of care, which I think will happen, we expect to exceed 200 million in revenue very quickly. So we have a business model that is not a new business model. Most of you are familiar with Invisalign clear braces. That was developed by Align Technology. They're the world's largest custom medical device manufacturer. They have a market capitalization of over 46 billion now, publicly traded. It's just staggering. And we think that implementing the same business model as Align Technology does, where they deliver custom medical devices, will work very well for us. Let me show you how it works so you can really visualize this. Here's a mandible, and if you put your finger on the teeth here, you can slide it back. It's actually pushing up against the tooth bud. So when a kid opens their mouth and you slide your finger back on the teeth, you can actually press up against the tooth bud. What we will do is deliver a surgical guide, and I hope you can see that okay. And it's custom to the patient, just like the Invisalign model. And what we do is we insert a probe into the tooth bud, and we hit the go button, and the probe, this disposable probe, will actually warm the tooth bud 20 to 40 seconds, and you remove it, and the procedure is done. It is that simple. And this probe is a disposable device that ships with each of the surgical guides. And we use these on, like I said earlier, nearly 200 live animals. Our business model is that we will charge $350 per tooth bud for single use. If you can see a mouth guard, you can actually do this procedure. So very simple, very straightforward. We have an amazing IP position. We expect to have no competition until 2035. We have 11 US patents issued. We own this market outright. We've got a number of foreign patents. We expect the standard of care for this to be within, this be the standard of care within 10 years. We truly think that we can block competition until 2035. It's really quite unusual to have that strong of an IP position for a company in our early stage. Our development status is really straightforward. We are done with all our live animal testing. We had 100% success on this because the procedure is so precise. Our experienced management team, we've got 3 of us that have been in the medical device industry now for some time. We have a good team of consultants. We are preparing our investigational device exemption application for submission to the FDA by the end of March. We expect FDA clearance to go into human clinical trials by third quarter of this year. So the biggest challenge that we've had is the challenge that most medical technology companies have in Oregon, and that's raising money. There's something about Oregon, Washington, you can raise money, California, if you're in the Bay Area, investors abound. It's really been a challenge. I personally invested over $1 million of my own cash and time pre-incorporation to develop the technology. Then I seeded the company with $250,000. We've since raised $5 million, and we have a record cash position of $1.6 million. We're in the process of raising $2 million more. So that will get us through our human clinical trials. But all our I'd say 95% of our investors have come from out of state. It's been a real challenge for us, and I wish I knew the answer to how to change that. So we're reaching out to Oregon investors to see if we can get the medtech investors to come out of the woodwork and join us. It's a real challenge, though. Questions?
Lee, this is just incredible. I'm really blown away by your presentation, and I'm wondering if you have any ideas or plans to expand into other applications using this technology or similar technology.
Yeah, the technology that we developed, we were frustrated with existing medical tumor ablation technology. It's like using a chainsaw when we needed a scalpel. It really was very crude, shockingly so. And we are in discussions with other companies about licensing this technology for non-dental use. It's very early stage. We're just starting those discussions. And we just submitted 3 patent applications that cover our unique technology.
It's just incredible. I remember very clearly my wisdom tooth extraction experience, even though it was like 25 years ago, it was horrible. The recovery was fine, but the actual procedure was horrible, partly because I wasn't in my dentist's office. I was with a stranger. I was referred to this other office, and then this whole thing happened. They had to send me to another office, and then those people didn't know me. I was a hot mess. I was also like a child, basically, and this is incredible. A huge, huge disruption. I'm wondering if we have any audience questions. Yes? Is there any chance it could not be FDA improved? Or what are your chances? How are you feeling about that?
Well, we've had a face-to-face meeting with the FDA, and you hear horror stories about how tough the FDA is. Our position with the FDA is that we're actually more conservative than they are. And when we had our face-to-face meeting, they were actually very interested in what we're doing because they recognize the technology we developed is unique. They had an engineer who had a background in microwave ablation systems. And when we presented that it works differently, they really were quite interested. We put safety first. And, if you do that, you'll get through the FDA.
I mean, if you don't get approved by the FDA, we've got problems. I know I have another question. Yes, Roger.
So you're a dentist and saw this as a problem. Is there an opportunity to go after other dentists as possible when they're using the high net worth folks as investors?
Oh, that's a great question. Roger's wondering if it makes sense for you to look at approaching other dentists as potential investors.
Well, we have 3 oral surgeons that have invested in us, and 2 of them are on our advisory board. And since 60% of their revenues is derived from extracting third molars, you might view that as a hedge bet on their part. But they actually are promoting better care for their patients. They see it as a thing that has to happen. And we are talking with other dentists. And we have a number of orthopedic surgeons and general surgeons that have invested also.
That's great. Okay, I have one more question. Yes?
Where are you
Where are you intending to manufacture?
Our plan is Redmond. We've got our offices about a quarter mile from the airport. We love the central location. A key part of our business plan is that when we produce our product, we need to ship it and have it in the hands of the practitioner within 5 days of our production. And Redmond is a real good location. The FedEx services and UPS services really quite good. That's central to our decision to locate there.
Oh, I just love to hear that. Well, Lee, this is incredible. I'm wishing you that, yes, one more.
Yeah, Shannon, we've got a question in the theater.
Great.
Hi, Shannon. It's Michelle from Opportunity Knox.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Great. So my question is, how do you and how long does it take to have this procedure approved by insurance companies?
Oh, that's a loaded question, and it's one of the most common questions we get. I have gone to the American Dental Association, what's called the Code Maintenance Committee. They issue the insurance code or the procedure code for that, and they have shooed me away twice. And the reason is we can't get a code issued until we get into humans. So by the end of the year, I expect to be back to that committee to get a procedure code. Once we get the procedure code, we are going to hammer on insurance companies because it is a political hot potato to not promote preventive care for children. We think that the insurance companies will be forced to pick it up very quickly.
Excellent questions. Well, Lee, again, I wish you the best of luck. It seems like you're on such an interesting timeline. Like once things start to go, you better be ready. So I'm really looking forward to getting an update from you later this year or next year. Thanks for joining us tonight. Best of luck. If I had $1 million, I would totes Venmo you tonight. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I
of course.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. Okay, on to the next. This is supported by Central Oregon Association of Realtors, or COAR. They want you to know that nominees for the Building a Better Central Oregon Awards are now being accepted. Members of COAR select projects that enhance their community with outstanding new or renovated residential, commercial, or industrial buildings. Projects are judged on economic impact, neighborhood improvement, unique design, or use of materials. Visit coar.com for more information, and also supported by SGA CPAs, who is honored to partner with EDCO in support of our local business community. SGA prides itself as being more than accountants. They are modern advisors with a collaborative strategy focusing on building wealth and sustainable business growth. Thank you to Amber Yates and SGA, and also a Platinum EDCO board member. This is an in-person pitch, so everybody get ready for this. Rising Wild is ushering in a new era of adventures and fitness for kids and families by gamifying fitness to encourage healthy habits. Their mission is to get kids outside and moving by combining a mobile app with a monthly subscription box. Their adventure and fitness programs include virtual events and challenges with outdoor-themed Rising Wild heroes, Dawn, Sage, Sunshine, and Grit, who share stories that inspire adventure, sport, play, and the outdoors. Here tonight to tell us more is founder and managing director, Brooke Jackson. Come on up, Brooke.
All right. Hi, thank you so much to have me. Thank you, EDCO, and its sponsors and the introduction. I'm Brooke Jackson. I'm the owner of Bolt Marketing Group and the founder of Rising Wild. Personally, I'm very thrilled to be here in the live flesh. I'm an event business owner, and it's been a wild ride with COVID. And I'm here today to share what is my COVID-19 inspired story of evolution, or what so many people are calling it now, the COVID pivot. So my story starts in 2009 when I started Bolt Marketing Group. We're an event and experiential marketing agency. We build brand experiences for companies who are seeking in-person engagement through consumer events, trade shows, whatever they may seek, for example, grassroots initiatives. So in 2016, we acquired an event property as a way of controlling our revenue better. It's called Kids Obstacle Challenge. It's an adventure and obstacle course race for kids and families. Within a year of ownership, we saw a 400% increase in participation, which led into 3 years of ambitiously growing the event property across the country to what is now the largest obstacle and adventure race for kids and families in the country. We have over up to 150 attendees at our events nationwide. We've got great corporate partners such as Subaru and Cliff Bar. So in 18, we reached profitability. We were clicking along, about to have our big banner year 5, had locked in some great new deals with Banana Boat and Fitbit when 2020 came, and COVID obviously brought events to a screeching halt. So certainly we knew that we were going to have to pivot, and we did so very quickly within a matter of just a few months, although pivot is a funny word because we really did a 360. We basically created a new business in just a matter of months, which is Rising Wild. We're an adventure and fitness program and virtual community for kids and families that combines a mobile app and a subscription box. We launched in September, and just in a matter of months, we have over 1,000 subscribers and have successfully migrated our corporate sponsors onto the Rising Wild platform, which is a virtual experience platform. So Rising Wild is definitely a COVID-19 rapid response, but it was also a response and a solution for what is a growing problem in the United States with childhood inactivity. Kids today are unfortunately so sedentary, on average 7.5 hours per day, sedentary, likely on a screen of some sort. UNICEF actually just put out a frightening childhood well-being report card that looked at mental health, physical health, skills, and education. And they compared the US to the richest 38 countries in the world. And unfortunately, the US children, they're ranking pretty much at the bottom, specifically with physical health. So we certainly did our best to look at that problem as we moved very quickly to develop what is Rising Wild. In the US, there are approximately 45 million kids ages 4 to 14, which is our target demographic with Rising Wild. Data shows that, unfortunately, only 1 in 3 kids are active according to CDC standards. So that leaves us with approximately 30 million kids that really need more resources and products like Rising Wild to keep them moving. In looking at the market size, the US subscription box and fitness app markets combined are valued at approximately $27 billion, and we're positioned pretty much right there in between, given that our services offer the subscription box as well as the fitness app. Rising Wild's mission is to get kids outside and moving more with the opportunity to use their imaginations and explore the outdoors. We're really trying to create healthy movement habits with kids and an early appreciation and interest in physical activity. We do this through our super cool outdoor-themed superheroes, or not superheroes, Rising Wild heroes is what we call them, Dawn, Sage, Sunshine, and Grit. And it's through them that we tell stories of adventure and fitness and the outdoors, and they're intended to attract and inspire kids to be active. And it's also through those characters that we're delivering the adventure and fitness programming, which is hosted through our app and our subscription box, which involves adventure and fitness flashcards that kids get in the mail. The adventure and fitness programming is really intended to make movement fun. Much like we parents are sneaking spinach into smoothies, we sneak the exercise into the fun, getting kids outside and being adventurous. The challenges and events in the app are worth points. It's gamified. Kids can earn points. We encourage them to earn up to 1,000 points in a given month. They're entered to win fun prizes from our sponsors. Right now, we have a couple subscription options available on our website, risingwildkids.com. That includes our full subscription, which is $9.99 per month, and it includes the subscription box that comes monthly, a starter pack, as well as seasonal packages, as well as full access to our app, which unlocks new events and challenges each month. The physical cards are the big storytelling component, as well as just a screen-free option that we're finding that families really appreciate. We also have a digital subscription that is just full access to the app, with new events and challenges unlocking each month. That starts at $4.79 per month. We launched with this direct-to-consumer business model with our subscriptions through our website, but we're in the process of activating a variety of really great business revenue streams, specifically with retail. With our physical product, we're currently selling it through Amazon, but we also visualize opportunities to sell wholesale to retailers and possibly license through toy and game manufacturers. We are currently working with schools during this COVID time period as a way to help supplement virtual PE, but there's a great opportunity for us to offer Rising Wild as a sort of an extracurricular physical activity opportunity. Unfortunately, only 40% of kids are participating in organized sports, where a lot of kids are lost going home to video games. So if we can incorporate Rising Wild as a club for extracurricular kind of activity, we're in a really good position there. We will be working with corporations, mid to large size, in a variety of ways. To start, as we currently are with our brands, Subaru and Cliff Kid, for example, through sponsorships and marketing. Rising Wild was created as a virtual experience platform through which we can deliver digital marketing services and brand experiences through our events and challenges, as well as the product of our sponsors through our subscription boxes. We also anticipate working with corporations through their corporate social responsibility budgets, which are rising, offering Rising Wild to underserved communities where, unfortunately, half of children in poverty are overweight or obese. And so if we can work with corporations to serve up Rising Wild to those communities, is the goal there. We also want to work with corporations in using Rising Wild as an interesting and unique lifestyle benefit program for their corporate HR programs. Healthy families make happy employees, and that's become very, very important for corporations. So we anticipate working with them in a very strategic way, depending on their needs overall. There are quite a few types of companies that support childhood movement. We're unique in that we offer both the physical adventure and fitness cards through the mail as well as in the app, but they come in kind of three different categories. Lifestyle management apps, like Habits app is a competitor. They're trying to track and provide rewards to kids for movement, nutrition, chores, etc. There's also obviously a ton of content online these days, of course, to help get kids moving. Our content is different in the sense that we're focusing on our characters and their stories and inspiring them through the storytelling and leading them through these really fun adventures and exercises. Other types of competitors involve more physical decks of cards that you can find at retailers. What makes Rising Wild really unique is that we, like I said, have bridged the digital with the physical with our product, also incorporating the storytelling, and that we have a physical product that we can go into retail. Products in retail that can be activated digitally are really attractive for consumers as well as for retailers. As I mentioned, we've been moving fast and furious to develop Rising Wild. We're really excited about where we've come in just a matter of months. We are a very small team, but ambitious, and that includes myself. We have an accounts and program manager, a designer, and a legal advisor that's helped us get to where we are. We're self-funded from this point so far. We're looking at potentially looking to fundraise later in the year, but today, just really excited to be introduced to the Central Oregon community. We've been in Portland for 12 years now, so getting to know the business community here has been great. We're looking to grow our team, potentially looking for a technical advisor, as well as potentially a technically inclined co-founder who's passionate about getting kids outside and moving, as well as a UX, UI designer who's interested in contributing. So loved being here and being introduced to some of you folks, and I look forward to hearing from you and having you check us out online.
This is just so great. I love it. I love every part of it. So I want to ask a question about the creative side, because I'm like, oh, this is a little bit like D&D plus exercise. So tell me a little bit more about like your creative process and how you're storytelling along with like the goal of getting kids moving again.
Yeah. we looked a lot at, what was out there right now. And I'm a passionate parent of 2 young children. So, I've been seeing what has been served up through virtual PE. So all of that motivated us. But we knew that there is this phenomenon of, unfortunately, video games and comic book culture. And so we considered that as we developed our characters, making them a diverse, very interesting group of people that actually have faced adversity. And, we're all about building brave and persevering kids with our adventure series as well as with this. And so, it was a lengthy but very fun creative process to develop the characters and what is the adventure and fitness programming that gets kids moving.
It's just so cool. It seems like there's so many places to grow within what you're already doing. So I love it. Kudos.
Thank you.
I think real PE sort of, for many of us back in the day, like left a little something to be desired. I was always like, oh, I'm sick again. I did not like it. It didn't work for me. But I love this as
Thank
maybe
you.
being something that could supplement what's happening in schools. Do we have any questions in the audience tonight? Any questions? Do you have any questions for me online, Erin? So what is going to happen to, are you just completely scrapping the in-person model, or will that come back at some point, do you think?
Yeah, we're constantly evaluating, as you guys are with live events, when they'll come back. 2021 is looking tricky, just considering a lot of risk involved, as everyone knows. We're a very seasonal event business with school, summer season, so we're looking to 2022 to kick it off and for these 2 entities to coexist and really help build upon each other.
It's so great. I just read an article in The Atlantic today, some of you might have seen it, but talking about like kind of how this year might look, and they're also sort of feeling like 2022 would be great.
Yeah.
I have to say, well done on the in the mail package. That is like, that was a savior for my 2020 and into 2021. Like I'm definitely scheduling out packages to come strategically to like give myself a little boost.
Yeah.
And I love that you included that piece. It really makes it full-bodied, robust. Yes. I love it. What are your dream sponsors that you don't have yet? It's a great question, Erin.
Yeah. We are very lucky in that we have some amazing partners and have a wearable kind of technology like a Fitbit, which we have great relations with them and look forward to future conversations. But a wearable or an outdoor brand, we do a lot of work with WL Gore and Gore-Tex, so we're constantly in conversations with them as well. We definitely visualize a really interesting, unique strategic partnership with a brand that can latch onto this and integrate it within their business departments, marketing, and HR and so forth. So there's a lot of opportunities there, but I'd say a wearable or an outdoor brand, because that's sort of our ethos.
Yeah, I feel that too. And then I love that you included the piece about trying to get this into the hands of children who wouldn't have the ability to purchase it themselves. Do you have advisors for that process, or how did that all come to be? And do you have like actual users where you've started doing that, or anything you can elaborate there?
Well, we're working with schools right now. We've worked with some schools in Northern California, Title I schools. We're really working just to get as many people on the platform in essentially a pilot program. We're generating revenue, but getting the program into as many hands as possible, and ideally into those who unfortunately can't maybe afford organized sports and other activities. We really worked hard to keep the price point, at a price where it was accessible to, many families. But I think working with corporations that are interested in helping through their corporate social responsibility to get this into the hands of more people that can't maybe access it is really a big goal of ours.
I wonder if there's like a way to start like a pay it forward program or something, like a buy one, give one, or I have a question from Erin, but it seems like there's a lot of potential there, and I love that you're including that piece.
Hey, Shannon, we have a question in the theater as well.
All right, hit me.
I love your product, so I had a question about the margins and the mix of business between the app and the packet. Is it a 50-50 split, which has higher margins? And then the second question is, if you looked at Head Start and some of the other healthy young kid programs?
I'll start with the second question. We have worked with a few of those programs with our adventure And I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you're in this room or not.
They're
so I
in
don't
the
know.
theater.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I'll just
It's
look
tricky.
straight ahead.
It's
Okay.
tricky. They can see you.
So we've worked with those. We're very familiar with working with youth programs. We do a lot of work with volunteer nonprofits with our live event property. So experience with that, we haven't really gotten into that. We have so much work that we need to do because we've just kind of launched this in September, but we definitely feel like there's a great opportunity there with youth programs, and again, our experience so far working with schools has been fantastic. With respect to our margins, we are. I think your question was maybe what's selling better too right now. Our full subscription, which involves a starter pack of cards and monthly cards that continually come to the kids, and our seasonal package, it is definitely by and far our most interesting product that people are buying. Our margins are better with our digital, of course, because there's no cost on the shipment, but overall we have a 60% margin on our product with a lot of great opportunity to improve that, considering we are currently manufacturing in the US. We would love to keep it here, but if we need to, we can move internationally on that.
That's great. Okay, I have a question from Roger. Are you targeting a certain age with your character development?
With the actual characters who we're trying to attract? Yeah, we launched this targeting kids ages 4 to 14. We're seeing already with our data that we're attracting 7 to 10-year-olds, which was quite similar to our event property. So knowing that, we did design the characters to, again, reflect what we're seeing with video game culture and comic book culture, and it's probably more attractive with that older, like the big kid age range of 7 to 10, which is great because that's actually when kids' physical activity begins to decline, right around age 7, is what the data shows. Unfortunately, kids aren't going on bike rides quite like they used to, or to the park with friends. So again, another reason why Rising Wild kind of fits what is the modern family, being able to integrate fitness and adventure into the home.
Great question. Well, I'll be so curious to see how you evolve the characters and what other opportunities or new characters come into the mix as the demographic grows. I'm sure your data will be very, very interesting over the years. Okay, do I have anything? Yes, one more.
Yeah, for your event property, you said Kids Obstacle Challenge. How many annual attendees did you have at that event property, and where was it?
How many attendees did you have at the physical challenge property each year?
Well, we've been growing it since 2016. We have up to 150,000 attendees at our events across the United States. So we go to 10 to 15 different markets, and we have thousands of people come to our event and go through our race courses. It's similar to a Tough Mudder or a Spartan, but very much so designed for kids and families, and is very unique in that front.
And it's like a pack and play, so you like can move it around, or
Yep,
is that?
yep. It's a totally modular event property that we go all over. Mm-hmm.
So cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I think this is an awesome idea, and I just can't wait to hear more and follow along with what you're doing. So thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we are moving forward to our keynote speaker, and we are sponsored by Barrett Business Services, Inc., BBSI, who says, welcome back live and virtual pub talkers. If you need recruiting help, temporary staffing, or temp to hire services, connect with BBSI for solutions. Connect with Eric Strobel live here at Pub Talk, or go to bbsi.com. And on to our virtual keynote, which before I introduce Evan, I'm hearing like laughter in another room of like multiple people laughing in real life. And I'm like, what is that sound? It's a remarkable, lovely sound. I'm really enjoying it. Evan Witt, Director of Business Development at Battery Ventures, a 37-year-old firm with a global presence. Evan joined Battery Ventures in 2020, working to build the firm's business development practice through which Battery works closely with developers, technologists, and product management executives across cloud-native and innovative Fortune 500 corporations. Previously, he worked as a business development manager at Intel and has also co-founded 2 companies, Cursive Labs, a San Diego tech incubator, and Spoutable, an online advertising company. Please welcome to the keynote virtual stage, Evan. How you doing, Evan?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being
Wish
here.
I could be there in person tonight, but we've got a 6-month-old and then some high-risk people in the household. So fortunately, with the lack of travel, I've been able to stay home and make every single one of his bedtime. So I'm trying to keep that trend as much as I can for as long as possible. But kind of starting out, I'll give a little bit of a background on kind of myself and kind of a story into why I have a pretty strong belief that startups will end up being remote or more remote or kind of hybrid moving forward into the future. And then some ways in which I think that actually benefits cities like Bend as well. And I am located here in Bend. I had a startup studio, as mentioned, actually in San Diego. And that was after a company I was at, went through the whole IPO process and then private equity after that portion. And one of the things that happened when we were raising money out of San Diego, which is, a decent startup community and decent market, was we had multiple investors come to us and say, hey, it's great that you're raising a $3 million seed round. You should move to San Francisco and we'll give you double or 3x, but you need to move. And that was, I think, something that still happened, pre-pandemic. I think there's a bit of a shift in that and some kind of data to back that up. But that was one of the things that really kind of resonated with me initially. And I think there are, with all the unfortunate things that have happened throughout 2020 and with the pandemic and a lot of people that are severely impacted, I do think there are hopefully some positives come out of it and some unique opportunities for startups and cities like Bend as well. I myself actually, after doing the whole startup studio, was lucky enough to work at a fully remote organization. So it actually is a portfolio company within Battery called Envision. I joined them when they were maybe about 150 people or so. And when I left, they were about 1,000 and 100% remote. So they had some shared WeWorks around the world, but no office leases, nothing of that nature whatsoever. And had a handful of people actually based in Bend, kind of at the tail end when I was there. So that's kind of the little bit of a background to myself. Battery itself, for those of you that know, my guess is a bunch that do not. Battery is a venture capital company that operates mainly out of offices in London, Boston, San Francisco, and Israel, and invests kind of throughout the world for the most part, and throughout stages. So everything from seed to somewhat unique for some VCs, we actually have a private equity arm as well. Our most recent fund was Fund 13 that we raised last year, at the beginning of last year, which was a $2 billion fund that's getting put to work. And then we just announced, I think about a week or two ago, that we actually raised a $400 million round for investing in existing portfolio companies. So that's kind of a background to Battery. One of the really awesome things that I've loved is when I was interviewing with them, finding out that they actually invested in a local Bend company as well. So Texoff 3D, which is awesome, and super excited to be able to partner with them as well. So looking at kind of the traditional VC model, and one of the things that I think is really going on and that we're seeing is there's a pretty significant shift away from what people would consider traditional innovation hubs, right? So you look back in Q1 of 2018, roughly 80% of the VC money went to 4 states, pretty limited. And San Francisco itself, or the Bay Area, I think got 6.4 billion of that. While the whole Pacific Northwest, which they looped into Washington, Oregon, all the way out to Montana and Idaho, only raised about 370 million. And so that shift is definitely, was there, and it was a high concentration in a handful of markets. Recently, Silicon Valley Bank, who does a ton of stuff within the startup community, put out a report called The State of the Market, came out a few weeks ago as well. And they're seeing a pretty significant shift away from some of those traditional hubs. So, the Bay Area, Boston, New York, into what they consider kind of non-core metros, and even a move into some of the suburban areas there. And a pretty big belief that is going to continue to change and happen. And so my hope is that is a benefit for Bend itself as well. I think there are some challenges here with, affordable housing and pieces of that. But as you look at that exodus from some of these kind of traditional markets, that probably is one of the factors why home prices have gone up, 15% here, and inventory is down, I think, over 30. But one of the things that also is happening, or stats kind of in the San Francisco area, is that the Bay Area has seen its largest single kind of year drop in new tech workers going down in there. So they're still at a net positive of people within the tech industry moving to the Bay Area, but they're down, roughly 30 or 40% year over year. And so that provides a unique opportunity for startups to start considering locations elsewhere. And even within the battery portfolio, there's a few unique investments that we've made over the last 5 years that I think highlight trends outside of the traditional market. So we were fortunate enough to invest in a company called MX that does financial services or fintech stuff based out of Utah, as well as a company called StockX that does basically verified purchases for sneakers and kind of a resale market for that as well, based out of Michigan. And so I think even traditional VCs and large VCs, that raise quote unquote mega funds that are over $500 million are starting to look outside of the traditional core markets themselves. If you look at venture capital, I think this is a unique lens for anyone that's looking at starting a business today or looking at raising money from the venture community. Traditionally, I think VCs looked at specific markets for a handful of reasons. There was a consolidation of talent. There was a consolidation of the customer base. The ability to build a $30 or $50 million SaaS company in the Bay Area is pretty easy if you just start selling to your local neighbors throughout the Bay Area. And then even the concept of, you talk to some of the general partners, at Battery or other venture capital companies, the perspective of even boards, right? If they have to be on a board at a company that they invest in down in, Kansas City, another one down in Nashville, one up in Bend, one out in Boise, that is travel time for all of them. And it wasn't until COVID that I think most of the venture capital community, and especially some of those general partners, really started to embrace the remote nature of aspects. And if you talk to a lot of those people now today, very few of them want to go back to every quarter traveling to every startup and going to every board meeting in person. There's a ton of lost efficiencies out of that. So I think that little things like that even open up the world for how venture communities are looking at quote unquote, non-traditional markets, or, as some people would maybe consider secondary markets, which I think Bend has a very, aggressive and strong talent pool. So hopefully that's not viewed that way. But the other thing that I think is a unique aspect for anyone that's starting a business now is the threshold to starting a business remotely is so much lower. It used to be that there was a harder trust level in being able to, hire people remotely, or, hey, I'm going to work at this company that has no office. That model's broken down for a large number of tech workers, myself included, making that jump to kind of being remote. I think the advantage that hopefully Ben can take advantage of is we've got such a beautiful city, unique access to things on the outside, outdoors, and I think a vibrant community that's wanting people to come in. And my hope is that there's going to be a strong set of startups that are getting formed here now, or existing ones that are going to expand, that can take advantage of that more kind of hybrid model. Because I think when we look at tech companies specifically, that hybrid model is really here to stay. Even looking at non kind of tech companies, I was recently talking to a CTO for a large national bank out of New York. And they have an office there of, 200, 300 people. And they were trying to figure out what they do post-COVID, because 90% of those people have left, and they don't believe 90% of those people will ever come back. And so that shift to digital and that shift to kind of this hybrid remote model is going to continue to stay. The one thing I will say for anyone that's starting a business, or even, people that have, startups here or companies that are beyond kind of the earlier stages, there is definitely an issue kind of in the remote nature as well. Talent is going to continue to get harder for a lot of people. Talking or looking at San Diego, you had companies like Intuit or ServiceNow. And if you were an engineer or product management, those were great places to work. And if you wanted to live in San Diego, that was kind of the staples of where you go. Since the remote models have opened up for a lot of companies, you have a ton of hiring, VPs of engineering or VPs of product at those types of companies in San Diego that are having a challenge retaining people, because you now have Amazon or Facebook or anyone else being able to hire people kind of all around the world. And so while I think that's a vibrant thing for Bend in general, I think that is also going to be a challenge that a lot of startups are going to have to handle. And if you're hiring remote, you're basically competing with a whole different set of companies as well. And even if you're hiring locally in Bend, that realization that, top level product designers, development talent here, probably are getting knocked on from companies that are not based in Bend, that sometimes have different, incentive models that they can provide to those individuals. Now, one of the other things I do think is unique for kind of hopefully everyone here is how to kind of take remote and turn it into your superpower. When I was at Envision, that was one of the things that we always kind of touted was a remote structure allowed us to have a really strong kind of superpower in that we could hire talent from anywhere around the world. People, as their lives changed and needed to move locations, didn't need to move jobs. So talent retention became a very big benefit. If you build that as a core muscle too, it also becomes a thing for market proximity or customer kind of empathy. We used to do something at Envision where we had all employees across the company had a monthly budget for what they called delicious empathy. Essentially, we had a budget where we could take out any customer once a month and go have lunch. And that was something that, whether you were in Montana or Texas or Colorado, employees were able to be in front of customers on a really, regular basis. It helped us create a tight bond with customers themselves, but it also gave people that were maybe not customer facing in customer success or sales, the ability to start to learn those customers. They got an empathy for the people that they were building products for, whether it was an engineer or whether it was an admin. And then the other thing within the remote aspect that I think is unique, we have this timing that, unfortunately was thrust upon us with COVID, but we have this unique timing where everybody is in this remote mindset as well. We're all used to Zoom and screens of this nature already now. And so you have people that traditionally say we're in San Francisco, as they were, looking for meetups and all these other activities that kind of had their own little community there. Those people aren't having those physical events now. And so they're searching for new ways of connecting to people. And so one of the stories I was telling to Brian actually recently is, we host a bunch of virtual wine happy hours for our community that help us with investments and introductions and stuff like that. And we were able to get, basically VPs of product or digital at companies like Disney out of, New York, McDonald's out of Chicago, and Atlassian out of San Francisco, and bring those people into a room and have a discussion about the future of product and digital and how they're building products, how are they managing teams. Those types of discussions pre-COVID were really hard to have. They happened in local communities, and the people that were geographically kind of dispersed didn't necessarily have that sharing of perspectives. And so I think for anyone that's within Bend and you're looking at, raising money, you're looking at finding your advisor groups, you're looking at creating that network, I really encourage you at this unique time to look as far or as wide as you want and find those kind of experts regardless of location. There is definitely an appetite for that, and people are kind of searching for new ways of having that community really be close to them. And then one of the kind of last things I'll touch on the community side as well. You look at that kind of piece of everyone having those microcosms, and one of the strengths that I think Silicon Valley has had historically for a long time is everything was there, right? So, if I was a VP of engineering, I could just go walk down and have coffee. I could go walk down to an office neighboring. That level of convenience or ease was something that everyone kind of looked at when they were making authentic connections or, finding people to invest in, or just being even willing to take a call and have help. What is convenient now is this, and I think as I talk to a lot of people in the engineering product and, development space, that is going to continue to be there for quite a long time. The desire of people in San Francisco or New York or Boston to go commute, to have coffee, to go meet somebody, they don't want to go back to that model. And so my hope is that communities and people here that are starting businesses, or working throughout Bend, that becomes something that can become a bit of our superpower as well, building communities, not only within our local community, but pulling people out externally as well. The last thing I'll mention, on the venture side, kind of pulling it back to battery, we had a company that we were looking at investing in recently, and one of the analysts went to one of our general partners, and during that discussion was very bullish on the fact that, hey, guess what? This company is based in Boston. It's going to be great for all these reasons. They really viewed it as a positive factor. And I distinctly remember our general partner, kind of almost reprimanding that individual in a way where it's like, that should have absolutely no bearing on whether it's a company that we want to invest in. It shouldn't even be listed down as a piece of the criteria. And I think that's a mental shift that I've seen kind of on the venture side of the house, of location becoming more of an agnostic thing. So looking at the other people that we're pitching here today, my hope is that, whether it's the larger funds like Battery, making investments in, TechSoft 3D and others, or even, the smaller venture communities that are externally, being able to actually have a bit more money come into Oregon. And, my hope is that comes and coincides with some of the great venture and kind of seed firms and angels that are already here, to really basically provide some additional accelerant to Oregon in general, but specifically Bend, since this is where I call home. So hopefully with that, this was valuable and something you got some nugget out of it. I'd love to open it up for more of a kind of open discussion and make sure I'm hitting the points that are relevant to everyone here tonight.
Thanks, Evan. This is just great. Yeah, please. We already have one question. Yes.
Nice.
Does your company do you guys have like a standard that you like pay people to not come in, like cover a desk space or video, microphone, all this stuff?
Do you have a standard that you pay, like a stay-at-home budget? So like to cover, since people are not being paid to be in an office, what is the standard?
Yeah, I mean, so prior to even Battery, I worked at a company that was based in the Bay Area, and I was remote. And, so one of the things they always had, like the standard startup in the Bay Area, was unlimited coffee, you had bubble water, you had snacks, you had everything that was there. I think most companies are finding ways of shifting that budget to people, whether it's, office setups or things like that. Battery was, very generous to all of its employees, thinking about, hey, guess what? Everyone has a work from home setup, and most of us were not built for that. Since especially Battery, it was traditionally in offices. So a lot of people were working from a laptop, from a, standing up on their kitchen counter or whatever that was. So we definitely got a budget to go buy chairs and desks and the stuff that will make us efficient long-term in kind of a remote model. I think the other thing that, looking at startups, that shifting of all the stuff that you were buying, whether it was coffee or stuff of that nature, for your employees and kind of those perks, that can change in a different model. So Battery ships us gifts basically once a month, and it's little stuff, coffee from, back from Boston, that's an employee's favorite coffee, or I think we just got like a coffee cake and muffins from a place in Tennessee. So I think there's ways of doing that is really important to keep that culture in a remote kind of model.
Oh, I just
hopefully
love
that answers the question for you.
Did that answer your question? Yeah, that's lovely. Like, I want to get in on the muffin delivery. That sounds so nice. Any other questions?
They're good, except for my wife,
Shannon,
who's gluten-free, so she stares at me evilly.
Yes, we have one in the theater, huh?
We have one in the theater.
Great.
Yeah, it was a nice presentation. Thank you. Question about Battery. You talked a lot about the stuff you invest in. It sounds really tech heavy. Is it specifically tech, or do you do stuff outside of tech?
Yeah, so Battery is historically kind of been a third. So a third is going into kind of more private equity stuff, so lower growth, still rooted in technology. But an example of that is we had an investment that recently spun out called WebPT that basically did software management for physical therapist offices. So think of billing, payment, all of those types of things. Another third of our stuff goes very traditionally to kind of enterprise IT. So B2B software, whether that's for developers, designers, things of that nature. So helping other companies build products and build experiences. And then another third goes to B2C type things. So more consumer centric. So historic investments are things like Wayfair or StockX or even some gaming companies as well.
I'm waiting for the next question to be, are you hiring at Battery? Aaron, hit me.
Elise wants to know how you keep up a culture in remote working space.
So elaborating on how you keep up a culture in a remote working space, company culture.
Yeah, so one other unique thing that we just did, so Battery used to have a annual conference that they do. So bring all the employees together in Boston or San Francisco or something like that. And one of the things that they did for all new employees, so people like myself, was we get a budget to take out a team for coffee or lunch, and we basically had a fixed budget, and we could go pick whatever activity we wanted to go do. And so it was a way of us, inspiring new employees to find something that was common. We actually just decided to do the same thing remote. So we've got, over the next, call it 3 quarters, all the new people are hosting 10-person virtual sessions. So we've got somebody who's hosting an e-game, basically through Zoom. You're doing Formula One racing, on the computer. I'm hosting a Hot Ones hot sauce lunch tasting. So we're shipping out hot sauce to, the 10 people that are joining. And I think there's ways of doing that can either have a budget to them or not. It can be as simple as, shipping a mug to everyone and, having a coffee hour on Fridays. I think that's one important piece. The other, I'd say, flip side is talking, I think a few people mentioned fatigue as well. I was just talking to Intuit a few weeks ago, and their CTO had a very strong belief that there was a high level of burnout that was, approaching engineering teams and product teams and things like that. And so they actually instated, I think it's from 1 to 3 every day, there's 0 meetings allowed. It doesn't mean you can't work, but there are no meetings. And the CTO actually gets a report on a weekly basis of whoever is creating meetings and how many meetings they have and how long those are taking. And so I think little things like that are ways to make sure that people don't get fully burnt out. Because especially working from home, it's easy to just stay here for forever and forget that there's a world outside, or even forget to stand or eat. Yeah.
You need the Rising Wild cards. Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. When you are spread all over the country, how do you decide your pay scale for your employees?
I think Battery is taking the approach of location. They kind of go to the highest common denominator, so somewhat fortunate.
Good man.
At prior roles, and like you think of Envision, they didn't think of geolocation as a bonus or a negative, right? So if you were in San Francisco, they didn't give you an incentive to be there. And then if you decided you started to work when you were in the Bay Area and you decided to move to Montana, they didn't de-incentivize you. Personal opinion, I think that is a great model. It allows the flexibility of people to decide what is important in their life, whether places that have a higher affordability are a benefit to them or not. And be able to, subsequently kind of pocket that money. My hope is that, there isn't too much of a hit that larger, companies, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or anyone else, start to ding people for being based in cities that have a lower affordability aspect to them.
Do you advise companies like that on this?
Yes, I don't make too many advice aspects to our portfolio company on that stuff, but personally, yeah, I think that's a very good model. I think there's also, there's a level of kind of transparency and honesty that comes with that. And I think you have a trend for a lot of companies to be a little bit more transparent with what their pay structures are. And I'm a personal believer of that piece as well.
Me too.
So I think to me, those kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, me too.
It also helps with diversity as well, right? If you're open about location, you should be open about all the other aspects to be more inclusive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions tonight for Evan? Nobody's going to ask Evan if he's hiring. You're going to make me do it. Evan, Roger. Why did you pick Bend, Evan?
Yeah, so Bend was not on my list at all, probably 10 years ago. I picked Bend based off of my family or parents came down here and this is where they wanted to retire. And my wife and I were, just lucky enough, 7 years ago, to decide to come travel with them and help them find a place to kind of, eventually long-term kind of become the retirement home. And we absolutely fell in love with it. I think for me, it reminded me very much of San Diego without the traffic, with a community that was, I'd say, very vibrant in restaurants, and bars, and the startup community and everything else. And that's been the piece that's kind of retained me here throughout all of that, and kind of fell in love with it from that perspective. I also think that although I'm at a VC firm that has very large funds that they're operating with, if I wasn't here, I would probably end up having my own startup studio or startup again that would be focused a little bit more on lifestyle, right? I personally don't have the desire to start $1 billion company or anything of that nature. And I felt like Bend was a place that provided a very beautiful balance of work and enjoyment and community, and a level of intrigue that still happened. You have extremely intelligent people here, and people that are doing some very unique things. And to me, that was another aspect of it as well. Whether it was within my field or, even looking at the dental stuff, like I thought that's incredible. And hearing that type of discussion is something that I think will keep me here for forever.
Yeah, it either works really well for you or you get kicked right out. That seems to be the trend here. I agree with you, and thank you for saying it so well. It is a lovely place, and there is a lot of opportunity here. We really are moving and shaking. Any last questions for Evan? Any last questions for Evan? Aaron, anybody on the? Will you join us at a future Pub Talk in person?
I would absolutely love to.
Oh, good.
My hope is that I can join in person, and my hope is that Battery makes more investments here.
Amazing.
As well. So
amazing. Well, we've got a little event coming up in October called Ben Venture Conference that we really want to also invite you to, Evan. We have a mug. This is our tradition. I don't have it in person. This is like so sad. We have a ginormous glass mug for you, and this is our tradition at EDCO. So the next time we see you in person, we'll get you the mug. You can bring it to future Pub Talks. We'll give you a fill. It's like 4 beers in one.
Perfect.
But thank you so much. We appreciate your insights. It's just great to have you here. And it feels like he's here. This is great. Yeah. You're very skilled on Zoom.
I spend entirely too much time on it. So,
well, you're doing great. And
thank you so much for having me. And then to everyone that's in the audience or remote, look forward to connecting on LinkedIn. Reach out at any point in time. Anything I can do to help.
Great.
Always available for people locally.
Thanks, Evan. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, along the lines of location agnostic businesses, I just love this. I want to remind you of the co-working spaces in Central Oregon, including Bend Tech, The Collective, The Haven, who's in the house, hey Haven, The Wilds, Griffin, Embark, all here in Bend, as well as SCP Hotels in Redmond and Job in Sisters. For those of you in person interested in learning more, there are flyers on the tables, as well as a co-working page on our EDCO website. So I'm happy to share with you that EDCO's long-standing annual luncheon has just been set for May 6th. Keynote, program details, and likely many other ways, all the many ways that you can attend will be announced in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. We'll be back at it with another Pub Talk event on March 25th. Stay tuned for up-to-date details about where and when and how, and fingers crossed that we'll be here in person again. And for those of you attending virtually, a reminder that there's a second networking session happening on Hopin, so please stick around. Thank you all for attending tonight. If you have an interest in a virtual event, next weekend is Muse Unconference. This is 4 days starting with a youth summit on Thursday night, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, incredible lineup of speakers, performers, panels, a lot of local folks, and some incredible people from around the country. So, and me, I'll definitely be like making an appearance throughout that event. I love that event. And that's, for more information, theworldmuse.org, or you can ask me and connect with me. It has just been so nice to be here with you all tonight. I didn't see anybody eating off anybody else's plate. I think I saw a lot of very clean hands. I appreciate it very much. So thank you all so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you next month. Thank you so much.